getting that set up. Okay, so boundaries and how to um now boundaries and how to create them. So I have here, this is class 19, how to become lucky. And this is how boundaries can help you have a good life. So we talked about previously your natal chart, your gene keys, your pearl sequence, all this stuff that most people have never heard of. We inputted it into ChatGPT, came up with like more about yourself so you can have a deeper understanding. And then how to really create boundaries, because some of us, we start creating boundaries not really knowing how to create boundaries. We were never taught. And boundaries can be a very good thing, but if you don't know how to set them appropriately or in the right areas, they actually will cut off your growth and hurt you more than they will help you, because it's not really a boundary, and it's understanding what they all are. And so in this next class, we're going to be talking about how to protect your energy so you don't get pulled off your path. And that's through boundaries. So boundaries help you be more authentic. It's about stop giving your time to the things that don't matter, the things that are distractions, and give your time to the things that are the things that you really want. So what are boundaries really? Boundaries are your happy fence. You get to choose them. They're not there for anyone else's approval, validation, anything. They are for you and only you. Boundaries also are your exit sign. So first off, let's talk about your happy fence. Imagine your life's like a garden. Well, your fence around you, I kind of picture it like my rainbow fence. It has a gate on it. So you let things in and you let things out. And you want to let the good in, like the sunshine, and let the weeds out, and let the bugs that are eating the plants, all that stuff, get them out of there. So it's more like saying no to the things that don't feel right, the things that don't align to you. Quit doing the people pleasing, quit being nice to make others feel better when it's making you feel worse. That's the thing about being nice. I don't like it. I like kindness and authenticity. Most of us can't handle the truth these days. We're so used to being taught to be nice, to not be honest, because that's not nice. Now, I think that you can be authentic without being mean too. So that's what we should have been taught, was more about how to not be mean while being authentic and telling your truth. If somebody, comes up and says, "Hey, do I look fat in this?" You don't have to say yes. You can be like, "Hey, another outfit would look better on you. Would, whatever, accentuate different areas better." And now one of my friends used to ask me that all the time. And I sat her down and I said, "Look, if you are uncomfortable with your weight, quit looking for people to validate you that your weight is fine. Because no matter how much you look for that, you're not okay with it. So you need to do something about it, because you're making everyone else feel awkward around you, because you're putting us in uncomfortable situations. You want all of us to tell you what you want to hear when you know it's different. And then you're going to slightly resent us for telling you what you want to hear. So stop doing that to me." And she was like, "Wow." And I'm like, if you want me to tell you you're fat or you're overweight, just come out and say it. If you're wondering how I'm thinking about that, you can ask me, but be prepared for the truth. And really, I think what you need to do is focus more on how you feel about you. And so that was a way better way of setting that boundary, because she kept on putting me in this really uncomfortable situation. And so it's like, you don't want to just lie to people to make them feel better when you just totally lied. So saying no, keeping your peace, and what they help you with is also like attracting better people and better opportunities. Boundaries aren't about cutting things out. It's not. It's about putting it in the right space and the right place. Now, if it doesn't belong in your life at all, like I don't care about horse races, at least not now in my life. So it's nowhere in my life. Like, just doesn't need to be put anywhere, because it's just not there. There's no attention given to it till just now. And so I was just trying to think of something that I don't really care about. And when you notice you don't really care about something, it doesn't really show up in your life. And if it does, it doesn't last for very long because it has to have our attention to last. So boundaries are about like also discernment and keeping your attention where you really want it to be and intentional about it. Boundaries also help you create luck. And now this whole how to become lucky is more about being authentic. So the right opportunities and people are attracted to you. Money wants to flow to you because you're just at the highest level of vibrating and frequency that you can be at. And people are going to be like, I don't know why, but I like this person. And other people are going to hate you. And that's okay. That there's that duality, this polarity in this world, in this universe, that you just have to understand that if you're loved, you're also going to be hated. And no matter what you do, and you just have to quit trying to be anything but you, because you'll never win winning everyone over. Even Jesus couldn't do that. So it's like Buddha couldn't do it, Krishna couldn't do it. You're not going to do it. People think luck is random. They do. They're like, oh, I have bad luck or I have good luck. But it's really about having clear energy. Bad luck is when you really don't align yourself to what you want, and when you're saying yes to the wrong things and your energy is just chaotic. What good boundaries, and there's nothing, by the way, I don't want to make anyone feel like, oh, I have chaotic energy. There's something wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. That's just where you are right now. And you can change that with choices. Once you're aware, that's when you can make a decision to change it. It doesn't mean this is a time now to be shameful and guilty of that and judging yourself, because again, where's your energy going? It's going to something you don't want. So be aware of it and then focus your energy to what you do want. And that's the key. A lot of us will like get stuck in the problem, be like, oh my God, I did this, I did that. Oh, wow, I suck. And you start getting into that instead of being like, oh, okay, I was doing this. Well, I don't want to do that anymore. How can I change this? How can I get better than this? And then like start making the decisions to focus on what you really want. And that's how you start creating your boundaries, knowing, okay, I don't want this anymore. I don't want to be putting my attention here, and discerning into what you really want. So, uh, with good boundaries, you stop saying yes to things that feel wrong. How many times have you guys said yes to the things that feel wrong in your life? You told somebody yes, you really didn't want to do it, you did it anyways.
Too many times.
Did it ever make you feel good?
No,
Yeah.
except on very rare occasions when it was what I was meant to do,
Mhm.
then I felt better and would have missed out on something good. But most of the time, I don't feel good.
Yes. And when you said, so there is that, I like how you brought that up because there is a subtle difference between, are you just not wanting to do it because it's scary, or because of something else, some other thought you have, or is it really something that you don't want to do? And that's also really important to discern. We won't be doing that in this class just yet, but that's a good thing to bring up. I'm gonna write that down. Okay. With good boundaries, you feel more like you. You can be more like you. You're not trying to cut any pieces off. You're not kind of trying to control anybody. You're just being. Without boundaries, you feel tired, you feel confused. You keep dealing with drama, you forget what you want, you get stuck with all these distractions. Have you guys ever been like in a day, you kind of like look back at your day and was like, what did I get accomplished? But you were torn in so many directions, but you didn't accomplish anything. That's a good sign you don't have good boundaries. Uh, Kinds of boundaries. So there's a difference between a boundary, a wall, and control. So I want to explain those three things. Uh, so a boundary, it comes from love and clarity. And it's like saying, no, thank you, that doesn't work for me. Or just say no, thank you. You don't have to explain yourself to anyone. If somebody asks why, you can even say, I'd rather not explain myself. but thank you. You can leave it at that. And I've had some people tell me that's not a clear answer. Yes, it is. Just because it's not the answer you wanted doesn't mean it's not a clear answer. So, how healthy boundaries are coming from a place you're not yelling at someone saying, don't do this or else, or shutting everybody out. Now, a wall is when you shut people out. That's when you close off the gate, you start building up a brick wall. Nobody's getting in, nobody's getting out. And it comes from fear. So walls come from fear. And like you usually create them because you've experienced some kind of trauma, maybe a bad relationship or a few bad relationships. And then all of a sudden you see these 40, 50-year-old women, 60-year-old women saying, I don't want another relationship. If I get divorced, I'm never getting married again. Or I'm just lucky, I'm just happy being with my cat and traveling with my lady friends. I don't need no man. You hear that so much these days. That comes from fear of going into another bad relationship. They're like, it's just not even worth my time. And to them, they think they've decided that they want this. No, they settled for that. Because almost every single one of those women, I'm like, so if I could tell you, if you could get delivered a man or a woman, whoever you're interested in, who loves you, respects you, supports you, cherishes you, honors you, um, always there for you, and makes you feel like you've got somebody on your side who makes things easier. And it's not because you expect them to, like through an entitlement, but because together you guys are stronger. You wouldn't want that? You want to share life's experiences with someone? Like, no. And they're like, oh, yeah, I would. I mean, I would if that's possible, but it's not possible. Okay, well, that's a limited way of thinking. You're coming from fear. We were meant for this. Like, we're female and male. We're not even complete by ourselves. I know people say we're complete by ourselves, but like technically, energetically, we do have male and masculine and feminine, yes, and we can be complete in a way by ourselves. But for the full expression of life, you can't have that without the other. And we're here to experience and have this experience, have this full expression. And then there's control. Control is where you're like, do this or else. The ultimatums. People call those boundaries. And I'm like, if you're already making an ultimatum, you might as well just leave the relationship. Reason why, we're all creatures of habit, and whatever ultimatum you gave them, they will probably fail. And when they fail, they're not going to want to tell you. So now you created a liar. And so whenever you have people always wanting to lie to you around you, and there's more than one person doing that. There's a lot of people lying to you in your life. You're probably very controlling. And some people are like, oh, that's an excuse to be a liar. Well, that happens. And you got to see how you're affecting people too. So if you're somebody who's like, I better not find out you cheat on me again, or I'm leaving. Well, guess what? This dude is going to get better at cheating on you. He's not going to quit cheating on you. And if he does, it will be a short time lived, because we all go back to our habits. So unless you're actively trying to change them, and if somebody else is telling you to do this or else, that wasn't an active decision for you to do, you're not going to follow through. It has to be a change that that person wants to make, not you for them. So whenever you are trying to create a boundary by saying, don't do this again, or I'm leaving, well, that's an ultimatum and you're trying to control them. Now, you should leave. But how a boundary looks, though, is this way. Like, if somebody cheats on you, we're old enough. We're old enough to know if you're in a monogamous relationship that people wouldn't like that. Like, there's no explanation. I mean, you can explain why you did it. We all know that if you're in a monogamous relationship, that's not a good thing to do. Like, we don't have to explain this to adults. If you want to create a healthy boundary, you would leave. That was your exit sign. And there's strong boundaries and there's weaker boundaries. So a strong boundary is like this. Strong boundary is like, don't cheat on me. And if you do, I leave, kind of thing. And you don't always have to express that out loud. Um, weaker boundaries are like, I don't like hugs. And so if somebody comes up and gives you a hug, you can say, I don't like hugs. Now that you've said that, they know your boundary. Now, if they keep hugging you despite you saying that, which there's people who do this, there are these, they're called like invaders, they invade your space. And for some reason, they had some parent who taught them it was funny to disrespect people's boundaries. So as a kid, their parents would disrespect their boundaries. And when their kids was like, no, stop, don't do that, the parent would keep doing it, thinking it's funny. So some adults have been programmed into thinking being annoying and a violator of boundaries is funny, unfortunately. And so these people will do that to other people thinking this is a connection. Well, unfortunately, it's a betrayal of a boundary. And so if somebody who's used to being programmed to thinking that you should be able to do whatever and it's a connection with people, they're going to be severely disappointed when they get around people who actually have good boundaries because they won't allow that. Good boundaries are like, if you cheat on me, I pack up and I leave. It was great. You know what lasted. I got to go now. That was my exit sign. And if eventually you want to get back with them, that's another thing. But right away, somebody's not going to change. But that would spark somebody to actually want to change if they want you in their life. They'd be like, oh man, I messed up. I messed up. But if you stay in their life, that's not going to teach them anything. They're going to keep doing because they still, what was it? What, nothing happened really, except for you got a little annoying to them and, you know, bringing it up. But that's, yeah, they still have everything they had before. They didn't lose anything. I mean, there wasn't any pain associated with it. Then why change it? Just get better at doing it. And so it's like, so you got to be careful, like when trying to control people, because more than likely you'll just create liars around you, if anything. And then, um, and then walls will just prevent you from living life as fully as you possibly can. So healthy boundaries are basically, I'm just not going to spend my energy here. And it doesn't have to be a fight. It doesn't have to be a yelling match. It doesn't have to, you don't have to call people names. You don't have to prove a point. You don't, none of that. The people who really know how to make boundaries, have y'all been around some people who they'll do this? Like, let's say that you're hanging out with some friends and they're drinkers and one of your friends isn't, and they don't like to be around drinkers. This could be, I mean, people can be around drinkers that don't drink. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying this particular person doesn't like to be around drinkers when they drink. Well, they may hang out with you that one night, and then the next night you hang out, you ask them out, or they may leave early. But the next time you ask them to hang out, they may ask what you're doing. And if you say we're going out again, they may just say, oh no, that's okay. You guys have fun. That's a boundary. They didn't have to tell you there's something wrong with what you do. They didn't have to say, I don't like your friends. They can just be like, you know, let me know whenever you're going for coffee. Or I don't drink and I'd rather not do that, but let me know when you're going for coffee. They just create a boundary. They don't want to be around that again. Boundaries aren't about having to put people down or having to be the right one and you're wrong. None of that. It's just, I don't want that, so I'm not going to put myself there. Do you guys have any questions about that?
No.
Okay. So where you might need a boundary. If you have a problem, so every time you have a problem, it's actually giving you some kind of like lesson for a character trait or even understanding where you may need a boundary. So a problem may be like too busy, you're overbooked, you've got too much going on. Well, the area that you need to create a boundary is your time. Say no more often. Don't say yes to every opportunity that comes to you. Block off time for yourself on the calendar. You know, make that time if you need to. I don't like doing too much time blocking, but some people really do need it. Until you get to a certain like level of frequency where you do really go with the flow and you really do have the whole following your inspired action. But that's not like most people don't go to that overnight from being where they were to there. So it's like you have to learn these character traits to get to this next place. So creating time blocks and saying, hey, I'm going to have this time where I'm going to meditate in the morning. I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do this for myself at this time. I'm going to do this. And making sure you also can get your work taken care of. And then just looking at it and be like, I can technically only handle 2 to 3 things at a time. I got to cut everything else off my plate. Guys, I get myself into this kind of often. So I have to, this is a big one for me. Feeling drained. That problem, your area for a boundary would be people. Stop saying yes to everything. Practice kindness with a no response. You know, like, no, thank you. And some people are like, oh man, come on, just do it with me. Be like, I understand you want me to do it, but I don't want to. Thank you. And like the third time I say no to something and somebody's still hassling me, that's harassment. I just walk, I'll be like, I gotta go. I'm not gonna let you harass me into something. So another one, like negative self-talk. We have done this, like where we'll take some negative voice from our past and just inherit it, like make it one of our inside voices now. And we'll have this negative self-talk. Well, the area would be your thoughts. You got to watch your thoughts and be kinder to yourself. So the boundary would be anytime you notice yourself calling yourself names, like, oh my God, you're so stupid. Why did you do that? Stop yourself and be like, nope, we don't abuse ourselves anymore. We're going to be kind. And you know what? You're a creature of habit. So you're going to do it again. But next time you may catch yourself in the middle of it. Okay. So the next time, or you may even do it all the way through. You may call yourself stupid. You may do that again. And then, but you just caught yourself. Now you became more aware while it was happening. Maybe in the next time, in the middle of it, you stop yourself. And then the next time you don't even do it. It's a becoming, like the law of becoming. You can't expect yourself to just change overnight. Give yourself some grace. Taking on others' stresses. So that area would be your emotions. This is what happens a lot with people that call themselves empaths. They talk on other people's emotions. They don't even know if it's theirs or not. And this is where you'll need to learn how to ground yourself and take breaks, journal, and be like, is this really me? Or is this something else? Does this even make sense for what's going on right now? Okay, I'm picking up something else. I can let that go. And other people's problems, other people's stresses, you have your own. I used to try to pick up everybody's and thinking, I'm here to help. I've got so much energy. I can help all these people. I tell you right now, most people won't appreciate how you take on their stress or how you help them out. Every once in a while, you'll actually have somebody who truly appreciates it. Usually those are the ones that reciprocate. But when you're taking on somebody else's stress, most of the time there's not a lot of reciprocation going on. And in fact, you may just be taking on something without somebody even asking you to. And in my experience, every time I've done that and thought, oh, I'm going to help them out or do this, it did not help either one of us out. I just inherited their karma instead. Because we're all on our lesson and our journeys for a reason. We're where we're at because of our own choices. And if you try to help somebody out of the choices they've made, guess what? Karma likes to come back around and be like, here, you want to help them? Here's their karma. What do you think about that? And then you're gonna be like, oh man, lesson in not do that again. And so like, and anytime that you have a problem, of course, there's a lesson there too, including the boundary. So it's spending too much or giving too much. Like, let's say it's money. You spend too much, you give too much of it away. And so money just doesn't seem to stay around because you don't know how to treat it. Well, boundary you may need to do is track your money spending. You know, like something that I used to say as a financial advisor is take a receipt, get receipts everywhere you go and put it in a shoebox. And then, and if you didn't get a receipt, write it down on a piece of paper, put it in that shoebox and check it out at the end of the month. You'd be surprised at how much money you spend on frivolous stuff. And then you can start checking yourself and be like, do I need that $5 coffee every day? Or do I want a savings account? I don't know why my recording stopped.
Hey, Misty, I got a question about that.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, when I was 25, well, until let's say until I was 25, 26, I could keep money like crazy. It was so easy.
Mhm.
And then something happened. I had a life event, and ever since then, it's been a struggle. And I mean, I track it, I do all that, but it seems like I get to a certain amount, then it just disappears. I don't understand it.
Whatever this event was, it sounds like it created some kind of traumatic energy leak to you. Um,
I partnered up with somebody that was terrible with money.
oh, you captured one of their attachments. Um, okay, so they were terrible with money, and you were affected by that.
Oh yeah, crazy.
Hmm. Um, we could go a little more detail on that, but yeah, sometimes a lot of times we go through some kind of traumatic event, and that creates the leak or it creates an issue for us. And then we have to heal or accept that event. Me, healing is more like acceptance, understanding and loving and just understanding it was just part of the process and letting it go letting it be what it was and just moving forward. But that's not always it's easier said than done.
Yeah, because I thought I've done that.
Hmm. We could dive deeper.
Okay.
Yeah. So, thanks for asking. So now I wanted to talk about like doing kind of an audit of your life. And next time, what we're going to be doing is more of an ideal life. We're going to go through your ideal life again and then figure out where you're needing to make boundaries, or maybe even stop the walls, stop the need for control, and create actual healthy boundaries in your life. So this is some ideas of what to think about, guys. Where do you feel tired or stressed a lot? Any adult who's sleeping through the day or sleeping a lot usually tends to be depressed or has stressed or has some other thing going on with them, but it's not a healthy sign, either physically, mentally, or emotionally. You shouldn't be sleeping through the day if you're sleeping at night too. Or if you feel super stressed out. Um, there's stressors in life. And I had one time somebody told me, it was actually my mom. She was like, I'm so stressed out. I have all this stuff going on. And I had already learned about stressors. And I was like, hey, mom, have you ever heard that you can have stressors in your life, but you can choose not to let them stress you out? And she was like, that's stupid. And she's definitely not into this stuff. And she was like, if it's stressing me out, it's stressing me out. And some people just choose to think that way. Like it's the other thing's fault. And that was something that growing up, my mom never took accountability. It was always something else's fault. And I remember I think I was 5 years old the first time I remember thinking, my mom, like, it must really be hard to be her because she doesn't know what she's doing to cause all this on herself. As a 5-year-old, I could see it, and she couldn't. And I'm like, okay, I remember being that 5-year-old that you blamed everything on. And so I can only imagine, yeah, stressors got to be the ones causing you stress, not your own thoughts and your own emotions. So that's something like, we got to own that. It's how we choose to think about stressors and how we choose to process them that actually brings on the stress. What do you keep saying yes to that you don't want to do? Is there somebody in your life that you keep on saying yes to and like really you just don't want to anymore? Well, okay. What is one small boundary you could create this week? And what does that look like? Um, how do you feel when you actually honor what you really need? Have you done that? What part of my life feels too crowded? You feel the chaotic energy. Or is that finances, relationships? What kinds of relationships? Is it only finances in certain areas? What is it? What could I do to make more space for myself? These are just some questions. And you can also just like fill in and be like, throughout the day, anytime that you feel like your energies just get stone off, like pay attention is what kind of thoughts going through your head? How are you feeling? Like, what just happened? Are there people that come up and after talking to them, do you feel drained? And you don't even know what went wrong because it was a decent conversation? Are there certain things that you're putting your time into and you feel drained? Things should be giving you life. If you're going into something and giving your energy and you're not getting energy back in the right way, you're going to feel drained. So that's a good sign that something's wrong. If your life feels messy, your boundaries are messy. So it's okay to say no. You get to choose what feels good for you, and you can trust yourself. Okay? I trust myself. This is really important when making boundaries. I trust myself. And I trust in any step that goes along the way. Even if you mess up, guys, even if you make a boundary, you did it the wrong way. You're like, oh my God, I did this the wrong way. It's okay. It's just a lesson in that too. Like it's just, you're going to fall down and you're going to get back up. Hopefully you get back up and you try it again. You can imagine. So this is something that I've done, like whenever things are going crazy all around me and everything, and I'm like, okay, I got to reset. I'll do the reset meditation that we've done, but I'll also picture like this bubble around me. And I picture it like a pinkish, bluish color. You can picture it golden or whatever. And this is like my safe space. And the only things that I see it has like little like I guess hexagons or whatever where things can come in and things can go away. And I mentioned I only want kindness, peace, truth, and love to come through. And everything else can go. Now, when you say this stuff, guys, be prepared. This stuff does not happen. And you don't say this stuff and be prepared for it and energetically ready for it. And then stuff will start leaving your life. Things that you didn't think were going to leave your life will start leaving your life. When you finally are ready for that to really start happening, everything that wasn't meant for me, everything that isn't in my highest and best good can now leave my life. You just be prepared for that. I always like to add in, please remove everything gently, because I know how hard that can be. Boundaries also are an example of you get what you allow. So if you don't like something you've been getting, it's because you've been allowing it. Maybe there's somebody who's come into your life, did one thing one time, and that was it. That's one thing. But if it's a pattern, you're allowing it. Boundaries help your relationships grow. They help so many things. So let's talk about how boundaries also help with discernment. So when you judge something, you focus on the things that you don't want, the things you don't like, and the problem. You're focused on the problem. Discernment is when you focus on the things that you do want. You're more focused on the solution. Now, if you're focused on the problem and everything that's wrong, what do you think you get more of? Because you get more of what you focus on, right? Now, if you discern and you're like, I'm going to focus more on the solution, more of what I want, you get more of what you want. You get more of what you focused on, which is what you want. So boundaries, whenever you have bad boundaries and you're saying yes to everybody, you're doing everything, you're just feeling like this is how you're going to get your value in life. Or if you're cutting people out, you're creating walls, you're blocking people and all that. You may, on one end, you're letting everything in with bad boundaries. On the other end, you're not letting anything in or out. Well, both are going to hurt you. And even the control side. If you don't know how to create the boundaries, and boundaries aren't like I also want to say this too. If you're a woman and you're in a relationship, or if you're in a man in a relationship, now the masculine and feminine energy, depending on what role you're playing in that relationship, is going to make a difference in how you establish boundaries. And some people are like, I don't like this talk. I was there too. I get it, but just try it and you'll see how it works. Because everything's energy. Well, now like the whole control thing. A lot of us create boundaries from a place of control. And that is a place of fear. Not that is not a place of, love and above. So whenever you're I want to make sure that I'm not going all over the place here and how I'm going to tie in this discernment and boundaries. But if you are cutting everything out You're cutting lessons out. You're cutting character development out. You're cutting the things that you want out. And then if you're over here trying to say that you've got discernment and good boundaries, but somebody looks at your life and they're like, no, you don't. Like, it's easy to look at somebody's life. You can look at somebody's life, screenshot it, look at your own life, like you don't even know you. Where do you can immediately tell yourself where you have bad boundaries as just an observer. Now you know yourself even better. You can dive down a little bit more. Now, if you have a boundary, let's say on uh I don't know, you've got to have boundaries almost everywhere in life. But let's say that you don't have a boundary on your time. Well, then you're never going to have enough time. If you don't have a good boundary on what you let into your body, then you may have an unhealthy body. If you don't have a boundary on what kind of emotions, you know, how you let your emotions happen, like you also should have a boundary, like for yourself, not for everybody else. Your boundaries are yours. They are for you. So if let's say that you're overspending, well, you got to make a boundary for yourself. Or if you're overeating, you got to make a boundary for yourself. This is all for you, for your happy fence. So it's like you get to choose. And now if you don't need a boundary there, let's say somebody's like, I'm okay being in a bad relationship. I'm okay with that. Then it isn't anybody's decision to tell them, or anybody's place to tell them, no, you shouldn't be okay with that. Now, yeah, you can try, but when people are in that space of saying they're okay with something, you're not going to talk them out of it. They got to be the ones to do that. So you've got to be the one to figure out what your boundaries are, to figure out what makes what's for you and what you want to put up with. And then you get to discern, because discernment is more like the outward showing of your boundaries. So whenever you're like, oh, I'm not going to spend my time around people who drink, that's a discernment and a boundary. Now you're going to not do that. Okay. And that's for you, not for everyone else. Does that make sense, guys? How discernment and boundaries come together?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I want to lead up to the next class. And the next class, we're going to go over your ideal lives and like now I know the last class we talked about how to create boundaries, knowing that you aren't trying to cut off your own growth too. And understanding yourself, because you need to understand yourself before you think that, you know, you start making all these boundaries. So we're going to create an ideal life kind of worksheet. And we're going to go over like the areas of your life, what you want and where you are. Like, I'm here right now, but I want this. Well, the stuff in between, like, what do you need to do? Now, if you're right here and you want this, what needs to change here? What thought, what emotion, what pattern do you have going on that needs to change? And identifying that and then creating a boundary for yourself. Not for other people, for yourself. The thing that sucks about boundaries, they sometimes are hard to keep, because you may want to be around someone, or you may be addicted to something and you really want that thing, but you know you can't have that thing and get the life that you want. So you have to cut that pattern out. And identifying what those are is going to help you. It's hard to be the one that cuts people out and saying, no, you don't belong, not really fully out of your life, but you know how I said that we're like a plant with the first circle. People are either fertilizing us or poisoning us. And the ones that are poisoning, we just have to put them out to a circle far enough that we don't taste their poison anymore, where you can love them without there being pain associated with it. Because I feel like we should love everybody, but we don't have to have them up close to do that. And in fact, it's easier to love some people from a distance than up close. And whenever you're creating what your boundaries are, You get to choose what goes on what level, what gets closest to you, what doesn't. And again, it's not for anybody's approval. If you're okay with a toxic relationship, that's on you. You know, you get to decide, and that's your choice. But with this whole, I'm here, but I want this, you have to choose that these are the boundaries I'm going to create for myself so that I don't keep on going back to this old pattern. So I don't live the life that I've been living because I'm tired of it. I want this one now. And you know what makes us change? What has made you guys change? A significant change. What was it?
I would say probably perspective would be a big one. And then life circumstances forcing it.
Yeah, yeah, like big changes in life, something
Uh-huh.
significant, or big trauma will come up. My biggest thing for me, I get tired of my own crap. I get tired of the way things have been going. I get so tired of it that I'm like, I'm done. Not going to do that anymore. And then also trauma, losing.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like me when you realize you can't win anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're like, I have to do something different. I can keep on blaming it on everything around me, but it's not going to change. Yeah, I got to do something different. Yeah.
So it's discontent.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Is that being so uncomfortable that you're forced to grow to the next level? So in the next class, we're going to be talking about, your ideal life and where to actually set the boundaries up to get more of what you want and how to actually set those boundaries in a healthy way so they can be more well received. They're not always going to be well received because, like I told you, there's going to be people who think boundaries are you pushing them away, and it's because they've been programmed in an unhealthy way. And again, you may know this about somebody and choose to still keep them in your lives because you know this program is going on and you know they're not going to change it and you still want them in your life. And that's up to you. That's your choice. Again, there's no like, you don't have to be perfect and you don't have to set your life up that everything has to be ideal boundary making or ideal life kind of thing. You don't have to. Some people aren't even really wanting to live their ideal life. They think it's a great thing to think of, but they don't want to do the work to have it. So the work is more uncomfortable than not living the life that they want. So again, boundaries aren't meant to be mean. They're here to help your peace, your dreams, and your energy. You've got this, and we'll come back next week and talk about the ideal life and where to make your boundaries. You guys have any questions?
No, like I'm good.
Awesome.
Nope.
Awesome. Well, I'll see you guys next week then. Thank you guys so much.